December 18th, and the important announcement that will be released directly impacting all Social Security beneficiaries. This is an important one we want to watch very closely, especially with the increase that was announced by Social Security about almost 2 months ago now, and what this is going to mean for all of us going forward into the new year, because this is actually a pretty important one on the behalf of November, even though we're approaching basically the new year here and more than halfway through December. I still want to point this out for you because it's all going to translate back into our money, our benefits, our finances, again, in a pretty important way. All right, so remember back at the end of October, which was also delayed, by the way. This was delayed by a few weeks, but at the end of October, we got the announcement out of Social Security for the 2.8% COLA, right? At this point, I imagine everybody knows about that. We've talked about it extensively, but here we are a couple months later, and yet again, we have more delayed information coming out because of the government shutdown back in October and basically the first half of November. Because of that government shutdown, we're seeing all of these delays in the release of all this data. However, here's what's important about this. This next report that we're going to be getting here on the 18th of December, pretty important stuff. Reason for that is because this is going to be November's inflation data. Now, the reason that I want to watch this one very closely is because they came out and told us, hey, we're going to give you a 2.8% COLA. And we're like, really? I'm pretty sure real inflation is like, gee, I don't know, 4, 5, 6% across the board on goods and services, right? But they're like, oh no, it's a 2.8% COLA. This is what we foresee as real inflation based on the CPIW. And again, as we've talked about so many times. But the reason that I like to watch this data that comes across in the months following the release of the actual COLA is I like to know, how much did they really stiff us here? Let's just say it how it is, right? How much are they really taking advantage of us here? Because I wouldn't be shocked one bit if all of a sudden we see an uptick yet again in inflation when we get this November data out in just a matter of days. So with that being said, this is all going to impact our money, our benefits, our finances, things like that, like I mentioned just a second ago, simply because, well, when prices continue to rise, what that does is it depletes your purchasing power with the money that you're getting from Social Security on a monthly basis. So when we get this 2.8% COLA, which obviously goes into effect here in just a matter of weeks as of right now, but when we get this information, again, pointing out November inflation data, I want to know, hey, where is inflation sitting? And did they pull yet again another fast one on us, as in they don't need to give beneficiaries as much of a raise to their benefit, reflected in the actual COLA, and then inflation is actually significantly higher, as we all very clearly recognize. So, and again, you know, the 2.8%, I've been seeing a lot of headlines out there. I've been seeing a lot of comments, just a lot of people that are very, very mad and angry, disgruntled, disappointed by this whole thing. And again, I think we all recognize the last several years, inflation has been significantly above what they have actually been telling us that it is. And again, the 2.8%, not really doing a whole lot for beneficiaries. It's going to translate into an extra $56 per month for the average Social Security beneficiary. That's not everybody, by the way. I want to make that very clear. That is certainly not everybody, but the average Social Security beneficiary, $56, provided that person is getting a $2,000 check. Now, by the way, the average is a little over $2,000 a month right now is the average benefit for Social Security retirement beneficiary. But for all the lower income beneficiaries, again, the lower the benefit, the lower the raise to benefits. And the more the impact of the Medicare Part B premium increase that we've talked about several times in the last, I don't know, few weeks here since the Medicare Part B premium was announced. So there's just a lot of different factors here that seem to, continue to eat into our monthly benefits. The raise doesn't add much. The COLA takes a whole bunch away. Prices continue to go up because of price increases of inflation, things like that. And before you know it, there's like no money left of somebody's benefit. So anyway, long story short, November inflation data, CPI, Consumer Price Index, will be released that day. Now, we were supposed to get this on the 10th of December, I think it was? Yeah, we were supposed to get this on the 10th, but they moved the date. They changed the date recently because of the government shutdown. They had to push out the release of all the data a little bit, simply because apparently it's taken them a little bit longer to gather that data, so they need a little bit more time to gather all of it and put it together in this official report and release all of that. So basically all of the data for the month of November has been delayed here, as you've heard me talk about recently in separate videos. But I guess late is better than never. But at the same time, how much are they really cooking the books on all this too, right? I think we all know that. This is no shock whatsoever. Are the numbers actually factual? Are they actually a clear representation of real price increases and what's actually happening with actual inflation across the real economy on goods and services? I think we all know better than that, right? I don't think any of us are sitting here being like, oh yeah, we trust this data wholeheartedly. Not a chance, right? I think we all know way better than that. Anyway, I'm going to continue to watch this very closely. And another thing too, not only does this inflation data, impact our money and our benefits and our finances, but at the end of the day, it's also going to give us a better look into the overall economy. If we continue to see inflation rising, well, it's going to give us another glimpse into something, right? As in the overall economy. If the inflation data shows that inflation is dropping, wow, that's great. Wow, inflation's coming down. Okay, well, that would be good too. And also it would help the Federal Reserve in their upcoming meetings here for 2026. It would also help them make better decisions and figure out what they're going to do with interest rates. So at the end of the day, it impacts us in many, many, many different facets, even though it feels like, oh no, it's just the inflation data. Who really gives a rip? You might feel that way, and that's okay. Totally fine. I'm not going to say you have to care about it. I'm just saying this one data point actually does impact us in a pretty major way, in a variety of ways, as I mentioned here. Okay, so anyway, mostly I like to look at it just to see how much of a fast one did they really pull on us. We all know better. They like to pull fast ones on us all the time, right? Oh, they won't notice if we stiff them on the cola. We actually do notice. Every single beneficiary, for the most part, notices every 1/10 of a percentage, either up or down. We notice in a pretty big way. So anyway, just want you to be aware of what's going on. Again, December, always a pretty busy month. I'll certainly keep you posted with any further details coming out here. But again, it's generally a pretty busy time because obviously as we roll out of the current year into the new year with all the different changes that go into effect, by the way, right away in the new year is when all of those changes that were also announced at the same time out of Social Security, accompanying the 2.8% COLA, all of those other changes immediately go into effect as well, just in a couple weeks here when we roll over to 2026. So yeah, a lot of big things happening here, and I'll certainly keep you posted with any further details on this. Anyway, I hope this helps you. Again, as always, I guess I can say happy holidays. Thanks so much for being here. I hope all of you are doing well. Otherwise, please make sure to subscribe if you have not done so yet. Still a busy time. I'll certainly keep you posted with any information that comes across the wire right now. Otherwise, share the video, or most importantly, go back and check out any of the other 6,000 plus videos here on the channel in the video library. Otherwise, down below in the description or at the top of the comment section, I have some information for you there. Otherwise, please just enjoy your day. Hope this helps you. And again, if you're going to be turning 65 in January, February, or March, remember, right now is your time for your initial enrollment into Medicare. Make sure to call Chapter there. Phone number's there for you. Give them a call. They will help you with your initial enrollment into Medicare. Again, if you're turning 65 in January, February, or March, especially if you're turning 65 in January, you got to get on this so you can get your Medicare right away as of January 1st. If you delay, you could go an entire month without coverage, and you certainly don't want to do that. Very important. Anyway, enjoy. Again, stay warm out there. Happy holidays. And I'll certainly keep you posted with any other information. Enjoy, and I'll catch you.